Hey, welcome back to Weld.com, home of TIG time. Hi, I'm Mr. TIG, and in today's segment, we're going to talk about some of the safety hazards when welding with the TIG process. Now, the reason that I'm bringing it up in this particular segment is we do a lot of welding with TIG that's absolutely perfectly clean, and whenever you can get that environment, it's great. But every once in a while, we have to do some field repairs, and we want to make sure that you're cautious of certain things. And when I say certain things, I'm talking about things that could absolutely affect your health. So we're going to talk about, and we're actually going to weld some of these parts. I've got a part here that has grease, or it's going to be smeared on the back of the part. And you know, every once in a while, we'll get a part that's got paint or grease or something on it, and then it'll smoke. You know, and our safety gear will pretty much take care of short-term weld repairs and things like that. Always have good ventilation. You know, we have eye safety wear and all that, but what about the stuff that we breathe? So really want to highlight on that. Now, when we weld this part with grease on the back, it's going to smoke. Well, you know, if you're going to do this in production, you're going to have to take different provisions to get rid of that smoke. You know, another thing, take a look at materials that have zinc in them. You know, we're going to weld some brass here. And again, on the short haul, you can do it in the open environment. But if you're doing a lot of zinc, you don't want to inhale a lot of it. And you may get just adhesive from a tape. You know, again, short term, not a problem. Long term, you don't want to inhale this. But here's one that's a silent killer. And this material is stainless steel. And as innocent as it sounds, it's got an element in it called hexavalent chromium. And you can't see it, you can't smell it. So you just have to know that it's there. So anytime you're welding stainless steel, know that it's in the material. You're not going to see a smoke. You're not going to see anything that's going to give you any sign of it. So today we happen to have this piece of equipment here. It was donated to us just for this show, and we've asked you to send your products so we can test them and use them and incorporate them into our program. So this particular Downdraft table was donated to us for a short period of time by a company called Avani Environmental. And so you're going to see me doing the welding on all these different materials, and we'll see how well it pulls the smoke away. So if you get into an industrial environment need, use a Downdraft table, and if you'll notice there's an extra arm up here, and you can actually pull the arm down to where you're going to weld. Now the reason that I'm not showing it to you right now is because as soon as you hit the start button, you're going to hear a lot of noise. But you got to be real cautious. Don't pull this thing down too far because you have your argon shielding, and you don't want that to be pulled away, you know, from your part. So yeah, keep it at a good distance. But anyway, I'm going to put all my safety gear on, and then I'm going to weld every one of these just to show you, you know, what happens when you get that much smoke and how it pulls it away from you. So let me get my gear on and we'll get started. Okay, I'm welding a fillet weld on some mild steel, and you can see already I've got smoke coming from the back. It's kind of billowing around, but you know, I can smell it. It's not in my hood yet, but it's certainly all around. And I go ahead and I back off. I only ran about an inch. Okay, this is welding brass to copper, and you can see the zinc coming off there. It's really nasty, and I actually can taste it, you know, while I'm welding there. And you can see that blue glow. It's just that's the nature of the beast. And I'm welding on the bench, and I'll show you later some of the welding I do with a Downdraft table. Okay, this is a plate of steel, and it's got coating on it. It's a tape adhesive, and it's not going to smoke as much as the hydrocarbons that you see in oil, but it will start burning here, and you'll see a little bit of residue. And I can actually smell it as well. It's not welding too bad, but you can see it burn back. It's going to start contaminating my weld here shortly. I can see it contaminating, getting into the puddle. Okay, I'm welding a stainless steel here. I'm not adding filler, but this is the Quiet Killer hexavalent chromium. You can see a little bit of residue coming off, but it's not really from the stainless. It's just some surface contamination. Okay, now that we've welded up these samples, you can probably tell that some were smokier than others. And the one that really concerned me was I was welding brass to copper. You get that much zinc flowing around you, you really got to be careful with the ventilation. I could actually see some of the smoke trying to come up in my helmet. So I cut the arc short, held my breath, and then smoke went away. So we're going to take all of those samples, we're going to do them on the downdraft table, and you can see how it pulls the smoke away. Okay, now that we're over at the downdraft table, I've got my own little weld bench set up here, and I put a sub plate just so I didn't mark up this plate here. But I'm going to do a lot of weld samples, the same ones that I just did. I've got the machine grounded here. I've got a magnetic ground on here, and I'll use the same TIG torch, same machine, same everything. So I'm going to go through all 4 of these samples, and you're going to see me change this machine over a little bit. Right now we have everything on downdraft, and what that means is that this arm up here is inactive. So we're going to show you the downdraft, and we'll do a couple of samples, and then we'll switch it over and show you the arm as it works to your benefit. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the machine on. It gets kind of noisy. Okay, we're welding on stainless steel right now, and of course the real concern is the element hexavalent chromium, and it's silent, it's clear, it has no smell to it. I detect nothing. I have no smoke or any indications that there's any contaminants that I'm breathing. Quite pleasant to weld. Downdraft table is not causing me any problems whatsoever. Okay, I'm welding on steel again, and I'm welding over adhesive. Now before, when I was welding out on the open bench, I could actually smell the adhesive, and a little bit of the odor came up through my helmet. And now I have absolutely no odor whatsoever, no smoke whatsoever. Okay, I'm doing a fillet weld on steel right now. This is the one that has grease on the back side. So as I dab and do my welding, I'm looking for smoke to bellow out or come under my hood, and I actually cannot detect any, which is good. And there's no smells, there's no smoke. It just welds clean all the way through. Okay, I'm welding brass to copper, silicon bronze, and from my standpoint, I can hardly see any smoke, and any smoke that is coming off, it's going away from me, and it makes it quite pleasant to weld. Now, the downdraft table has a little noise to it, but I think that's a great noise, especially when it's pulling that smoke away from me. You know, one of the things I notice when I'm welding on the bench, especially if I'm welding an oily part, you know, you can see the smoke coming off, you can smell it, and you can actually taste it. Yeah, the same thing happens when I'm welding galvanized or when I'm welding anything that's got zinc in it. You can actually taste it while you're welding. I want to thank this company, Avani Environmental, for letting us play with their machine here, this downdraft table, because I had absolutely no taste of any of those bad materials. No smoke came in my helmet, and it was just pleasant to work on this workbench with the downdraft and the secondary draft right here. So I want to thank you for watching TIG Time. I'm Mr. TIG.